Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna show you how I made this melting disco ball. To be honest with you, this DIY had its fair share of learning curves and challenges, but I absolutely enjoyed the whole process. Before we start, please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already and click the bell icon to get notified every single time I post a new video. So let's dive straight into it. For this project, we're going to need a styrofoam ball. The one I used had a diameter of 5 inches. First, I drew a blueprint for bringing the disco ball to life. To create a melting appearance, the plan was to add 3 drips of different lengths, one tall, one medium, and one short. To hang it up, I needed a hoop and a chain. So this was the basic idea I wanted to go for. To make the drips, I grabbed 3 tiny styrofoam balls. Then I grabbed a skewer, estimated the length of the desired drip, and snapped it. So I stuck the skewer into the tiny ball and inserted it into the main ball. We want to make sure it's nice and straight. Then I put another styrofoam ball on a skewer, trimmed it to a length shorter than the previous one, and stuck it into the larger ball. To create the framework for the third drip, I took a short piece of skewer, added a ball on top, and stuck it in. These served as the foundation for the drips. Before adding a hoop on top, I eyeballed the center point of the styrofoam ball and marked it on the top. To create a hoop, I bent a piece of aluminum wire into a circular shape, making a hook that fits inside the styrofoam ball. Then I cut the end to desired length and pushed the circular end into the marked point so that it hugged the inside of the ball. This U-shaped end acted as a hook inside the styrofoam ball. Then I grabbed the end that was sticking out and bent it into a small hoop. After that, I gave the hoop a gentle push to secure it snugly. In order to cover the structure of the drips, I used air dry clay. So I grabbed a piece of clay and flattened it out into a tortilla shape with the help of my clay rolling pin. Then I tore a small piece out of it and wrapped it around the little styrofoam ball to cover it and smoothed out the creases using my fingers. I grabbed another piece and wrapped around the skewer. And then I wrapped more clay around the skewer to thicken it. Also, I added clay around the bottom of the ball to get a droplet shape. Then I smoothed everything down with the help of some water. I added more clay around the bottom of the skewer to create that melting effect. This will make the melting effect look more realistic. After I was done shaping the medium drip, I repeated the same process for the tall drip. I kept on adding clay until I achieved the desired shape of drip. Then I smoothed it out to get rid of any bumps on the surface for a polished look. To cover the short drip, I flattened a piece of clay into circular shape and placed it on top of the little styrofoam ball. I made sure to smooth out any rough edges on the drips and blended the intersection between the drip and the surface of the styrofoam ball really well for a seamless finish. There was a tiny gap on top which I filled up with a little amount of clay. Once I was happy with the shape of the drips, I allowed the clay to dry completely. It took a little more than 24 hours to dry, but I noticed there were some small cracks on the surface. We can fix that with some more clay and water, but I was going to paint and cover it with small mirror pieces anyway, so I left it like that. To paint it, I initially started with the silver acrylic paint, but it was a bit translucent, so I coated it with a layer of gray acrylic paint first. Then I went back in with the metallic silver acrylic paint on top. The purpose of applying silver paint was to hide any potential gaps between the mirror pieces that I planned to attach later. Once I was done painting, I grabbed this roll of tiny square mirror tiles. I began attaching the mirror starting from the bottom of the drips. I cut some mirror tiles into small strips and stuck them on the easy parts. For the tricky spots, I used individual pieces. I applied tiny dabs of hot glue for the single mirror pieces to secure them better. So I continued attaching the mirror pieces around the base of the drips in a circular pattern. Now here's the mistake I believe I made. I should have started sticking the mirror pieces from the top of the disco ball and worked my way down to the bottom of the drips. This would have made the whole placement of the mirrors more consistent and avoided many gaps in between. I aimed to position the mirror pieces as closely as possible, striving to minimize any gaps for a dense and cohesive look. Next, I started sticking the mirror tiles from the top of the ball. This section was way easier to work on. Since these were self-adhesive mirrors, I attached them by pressing them onto the foam ball. I continued working my way down and covered the rest of the area with the mirror pieces. To fill any irregular gaps where the mirror pieces wouldn't fit, I cut a piece of aluminum foil to size and glued it down. To hang the disco ball, I used 2 jump rings and a silver chain. We want to make sure the chain is strong enough to suspend the ball. I opened up the jump rings and attached both the ends of the chain. Then I attached the jump rings to the hoop on top and closed the ends. I used 2 jump rings to make it more secure. And there we have it, our melting disco ball with drips. Thank you so much for diving into disco ball crafting with me. If you enjoyed, please give a thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing from you. You can also follow me on Instagram at DustyHues. Thanks again for watching and I'll see you next time.